Today, we are going to do something a little different. We're taking a piece of timeless art and a tool from the world of modern software engineering, and we're going to smash them together. Why? To see what kind of secrets we can shake loose. All right, let's get into it. So here's our subject. You've probably heard this one before. It's one of the most famous poems on the planet, written way back in the 17th century by the Japanese master Matsuo Basho. Just 17 syllables. Seems so simple, right? Almost plain. But that simplicity is exactly what makes it so powerful. And now, let's jump into a totally different universe. This right here is a C4 model diagram. It's basically a blueprint that software architects use to map out really complex digital systems. We're talking AI workflows, huge applications, the whole shebang. It's all about structure, logic, and how things connect. Not exactly poetic, is it? So there it is. That's the big question for today. What on earth could possibly connect the quiet stillness of Basho's pond with the hardcore logic of a system architecture diagram? It feels like two completely different worlds that should never ever meet. But there's a really cool connection hiding in plain sight. And here's the secret. It's not about turning poetry into code or trying to make code beautiful like a poem. It's about having a way to see the hidden structure in anything. It turns out the very same method you'd use to understand a massive software system can give you a whole new way to see the inner workings of a poem. So here's our game plan. We're going to borrow this 4-level structure from engineering and just lay it right over Basho's haiku. We'll start with a big picture and then zoom in, level by level, from the world the poem lives in all the way down to its individual sounds. These are the 4 lenses we're going to be looking through. In the software world, they call them context, container, component, and code. Honestly, just think of it like a set of Russian nesting dolls, or a microscope with 4 different levels of magnification. Each lens is going to give us a new, more detailed view. All right, let's start with the widest lens possible. Level 1, context. This is like the 30,000-foot view of everything. At the context level, we're not even looking at the words on the page yet. Nope, we're looking at everything around the poem. Who wrote it? When did they live? What was their world like? The whole point here is to understand the universe this little piece of art was born into. So what this diagram shows is kind of cool. Over here, you've got the author, Basho, living his life in Edo-Puri, Japan, a time all about Zen Buddhism and nature. He creates the poem, and that poem becomes a bridge. It stretches across hundreds of years to connect with you, the reader. And it sparks your own imagination, your own memories, your own feelings. That whole system, that's the poem's context. Okay, time to zoom in. Let's grab our next lens and look just inside the system. We are now at level 2, container. In software, a container is a big, important piece of the puzzle, like a web server or a database. Well, for a haiku, the containers are those 3 distant lines that give it that famous shape: the 5-syllable line, the 7-syllable line, and the final 5-syllable line. And this shows us exactly how they work. It's not just a random counting game. Each of these 3 structural pieces has a very specific job to do. They work together, almost like gears in a machine, to create one complete experience in your mind. Let's break it down. Container 1, old pond, 5 syllables. Bam, it sets the stage. It gives you this feeling of silence, of something ancient. Then, container 2, a frog jumps in, 7 syllables. That's the action. It's the event that shatters the stillness. And finally, container 3, sound of water. That's the result, the sensory echo of the action. You get scene, action, reaction. It's a perfect little storytelling machine. Okay, we're going even deeper. Now we're zooming inside those containers to see what makes them tick. Welcome to level 3, component. So if the 575 lines are the containers, then the components are the poet's secret weapons. These are the specific literary tools and techniques he's using to make those containers actually work their magic. This is where we get to see the real craftsmanship. The thing to realize is that Basho isn't just throwing words around. He's using very specific tools. You've got the kigo, that's a season word, just one word that tells you the time of year. Here, the word frog instantly screams spring to a Japanese reader. Then there's the kireiji, the cutting word. Think of it like a dramatic pause, a caesura. The word ya at the end of the first line does exactly that. It creates a moment of silence that makes the pond feel even more still. He also uses contrast, silence versus sound. And maybe most importantly, he uses empty space, letting our own minds fill in all the details he leaves out. All right, one last zoom. We're going all the way down to the most fundamental level. The raw material everything else is built from. This is level 4, code. In software, this is the actual lines of programming. For our poem, it's the most basic building blocks of the language itself. The phonetics, the individual sounds of each Japanese word, the choice of every vowel and every consonant. Let's just listen to the original Japanese, broken down syllable by syllable. Furui ke ya, kawazu tobikomu, mizu no oto. When you slow it down like this, you realize every single one of those sounds was a deliberate choice. And those choices have a physical effect on us when we hear them. And this is where it gets really mind-blowing. The poem is filled with these clear vowel sounds, which gives it this feeling of openness, of clarity. But then you get to the mu sound in tobikomu. That's the jump. It's a sound where your lips have to close, mu, physically mimicking a short, contained action. And it's immediately followed by mizu no oto, where that long O sound just stretches out, echoing the sound of the water and the ripples spreading out. The meaning of the poem is literally baked into its sound design. It's incredible. Okay, let's pull the camera all the way back out. We've looked at the poem through all 4 of our lenses. Now let's put it all together and see the complete blueprint. This table really sums it up perfectly. We started way out at the context level to get the world of the poem. We zoomed into the containers to see the 5-7-5 structure, the flow. Then we looked at the components, the poet's actual tools to appreciate his technique. And finally, we got down to the code, the sounds themselves, to really feel the texture of the poem. Each level just builds on the one before it. And this, right here, is the big takeaway. What looked like a simple, flat, 17-syllable poem has, with this structured approach, become this rich, deep, 3-dimensional universe. We haven't ruined the magic by taking it apart. We've actually given ourselves a map to appreciate its brilliance on a completely new level. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We used a software blueprint to understand a poem. But what's next? A movie? A song? A painting? What other pieces of art are out there just waiting for the right set of lenses to reveal their hidden architecture?